nature's comfort. Ramraj presents bamboo cotton white shirts.
Your dream plot awaits for you at OMR with Nama Family Group.
South India's #1 travel brand. You know you are special when you're with GT Holidays.
Mr. Gopal Varma, welcome to Galatta Plus. So today is the 21st of January, it's a Tuesday. Monday morning, the world, or rather the Indian cine world, woke up to a tweet from you, a long tweet about watching Satya. And we'll talk about the tweet later. But personally, you know, it was an emotional outpouring. Did you expect that tweet to become so viral?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I actually felt, the point, like a couple of friends who I kind of sent the message earlier, they're saying you should not say this and whatever, you should just do what you feel like, something to that extent. I felt compelled to put the tweet. See, and I was expecting something as, let's see, we will wait. They'll mock the tweet. It is like doing dramatic or melodramatic stuff is what I was half expecting, majority of the people to do that. But what shocked me, not only the number, it's got some 1.2 million views for such a long message, explanatory, and who are those people who connected what is one. Then people I haven't been in touch with the last 15 years, 20 years, they took got my number from somewhere and they started sending me personal messages. And the most incredible, see, they didn't even see it as something belonging to me, my emotions towards a film called Satya. They took it as a wake-up call to each and every one of them, including the successful people. See, I can understand someone who made similar mistakes like me, probably they're connected because they're in the same zone. You know, even people like, for example, Prashant Varma to Saideep, who's really high right now. Even they connected to that. Like Prithviraj told me, this is like a wake-up call. Even I was feeling somewhere I'm getting into that zone because of my success, and I want to keep on reading this every once in a while as a therapy to just tread carefully, something to that extent. And this happened in amazing number. I can't remember the number of people who
responded to
responded in this way.
In this way.
They owned it up for them. It can happen to anyone is the actual point. Yeah.
Right. But why do you think that your life post Satya has been a downfall? Because you have had successes.
Yes.
A lot of people would argue that Company is a very good film.
Yeah.
See,
I made films like Company, I made Bhoot, I made Sarkar. Quite a few films were there, Raktacharitra and all that, you know. But the difference is, see, why does one make a film? One is, let's make a film. What film? Yeah, I think this seems good enough, or this subject attracted me, or someone told me something, you know. So you are not thinking beyond that. Now, okay, if you take Satya, why did I make it? You know, I'll tell you a very interesting thing. Now, there is an underworld, and you heard of the word. You probably know a little about something when they kill or when they die. What do they do in between? So there is a world. I wanted to take the audience into the world of the underworld, and then to give them a first ringside view of exactly what those characters, what those people are, their emotions, their compulsions, and their relationships and various things. And suddenly for them to realize that as human as you and me, as human as everybody else, they don't have fangs, they don't have horns, or they're not born with a psychopath streak of killing for bloodthirst, you know. Now, this is what Satya was about. And this I realized only 3 days back. That is the point. Me, myself, the maker of the film, realized it now. Now, why would that happen? I will elaborate on that. Yeah? I started off the film as an action film. My first thought was, let me make it a realistic action film, something like a Shiva, you know. Then as I started going into it, there are things like, you know, when Gulshan Kumar was killed, you know, like Jammu Sugan, the producer of Rangila, he was saying he woke up at 7 o'clock in the morning and then he was going out and this, and we have a habit of recounting what a person was doing before he meets a violent death, you know. So I thought, what time would the killer have woken up? Did he have his breakfast before or after? A strange thought like that came, and then, all these are bits and pieces. Then one day I met a person who was recounting a gangster he knew about something about him. So they're all bits and pieces. They're interesting, curious, made me curious. Even then I did not have with the clarity I kind of explain now, Then at one point of time, what happens when you put it together, by the time you are so close to it, and when you are seeing it, you only remember where I took this character from, where I thought of that from, all this. And people react. It's good, it's bad, there's something this, something that. So any director for any film, by the time he comes to the end, I believe loses his perspective. So after that, like I remember Ridley Scott saying when he saw Alien 30 years later, he said, it almost looked like I didn't make it, because you change as a person, you have newer experiences, you have newer various observations, and all that will influence you in the process of growing, So what happened when I watch it now, some 3-4 days back, I started crying. And even when I was crying, I was understanding why was I crying. Was it for the film, what's happening in the film? But I was crying for the realization I was going through of what made this film work and why did I make this film. That is actually my tears were for. So in that context, I would say, if for example, I remember hearing an interview a long time back of Francis Coppola saying, he made this film, an interviewer was asking, will it be as good as Godfather? He said, no, you can't really compare movies. I said, it's not a question of comparing. I'm asking a simple question. The experience I felt when watching Godfather, would I feel that again in this new film of yours? And I could see Coppola not able to answer, and also could see in his face he didn't think of it. So if I was asked this question, let us say, when I was making RGV Ki Aag, if someone told me, will it be as good as Satya? Will it be as sincere as Company? Or are you just trying to do a gimmicky version of Sholay? If the question seriously was asked by someone, I am not sure I would be able to answer that. So no one asked me, neither did I ask myself. And which pretty much is true for many films I've been doing in the last 10-15 years.
Now let's take Amitabh Bachchan, right? He was an RGV Ki Aaj. He was also in Sholay. So when you go to him and say, I want to remake Sholay, even he did not ask why?
See, that was his trust in me. Because of
he never asked why?
No. Nobody asked me.
Okay.
But you see, them not asking is okay. Because see, I have a certain credibility as a director after those many films I made. So they will assume I know what I am doing.
Right.
It's not, I don't think it's them, it is in their place to ask that. And also at that time, they won't even know how Aag will shape up.
Right.
So they will think it's interpretation of Sholay is making. That's what they would have thought, whether it's Amitabh Bachchan or Ajay or anyone concerned. Yeah.
So I'm going to say that when I see a film like Nach, I've already told you that film is I mean, yes, there are bits, but overall it's a very interesting film. It's a remake of Fountainhead, or rather it's inspired from Fountainhead.
Yeah.
I would say that is also the work of somebody who genuinely wanted to explore something. He had an idea, he went there, decided to do a twist on it, take the man, make him a woman who's very, very faithful to her principles. She will not compromise for anything, and that frustrates everybody around her. Why do you attribute it to this lovely phrase that you use called fall from grace?
Yeah.
Why is that? Why do you think? Okay, the last maybe 5 years, I would say you had some output. Okay, now when people say, "Oh my God, the filmmaker who made Satya is now making these films with women and lots of exploitation and all that kind of stuff." The last time you said it's okay. I mean, I'm in the zone right now.
Correct.
But now you're saying you would not have made those films.
See, I first of all, I don't agree with the context of whether I made it a film which seemingly looks like exploiting women. Even that can be done with sincerity.
Right.
I lost my sincerity.
No, sorry.
I said, I made Satya or whatever. In the last 5 years, said I've been making films with women. I'm saying. But that is not the point. whatever you make, it has to come from within you with sincerity and paying respect to the emotion which you are trying to capture.
Right.
That I did not do. And I wasn't aware that I was not. It's like, I also have a kind of a person, I'm a very careless person. I don't take myself seriously, I don't take anything seriously. I am also, what you call, I have a tendency to become gimmicky or to say something or do something for shock value. So, in the context of that, a long time back, Rajmouli asked me this, a person as intelligent as you, a person as, well read and understands technology of cinema more than probably anybody else, why would you do this? He asked me this question. At that time, my answer to him was, now it sounds defensive, but at the point of time, I believed it. I said, see, first of all, I'm not a filmmaker. I also make films. I am a guy who lives my life just on my terms of what I feel like doing at any point of time. And in that context, some things like this will come, So do I go back on it? See, for example, let us say there was a time when Shanakshanam failed, I was quite affected, the only time I was affected, because I really believed in that film, Then I thought, okay, if Shiva maybe was a hit by an accident, maybe I don't know. Just because a film becomes a hit and something I like probably as much or more than that, Shanakshanam fails, so that doesn't mean I know what works. Then as long as I don't know what works, so let me just go ahead and do whatever I feel like at any given point of time. That's what pretty much I've been following.
Yeah, and you've said this also.
In that also, movies like Sarkar and all that also come like that only. It's not. But one question I've been asking since I saw Satya now, the next film I made after Satya was Kaun. So if I'm making Kaun, it is just an idea told by a writer about this girl, and there's someone comes and rings the bell and a thriller happening inside. I got excited to make it. But at that time, if somebody said, see Ramu, if Satya was about you taking the audience into the underworld, make them experience the emotions and this and that, like very much what Godfather did a long time back, what is Kaun? What is Kaun going to do? If somebody asked me that question, I am not sure I would have made Kaun. That is which is really hitting me more than anything else. So any of the films I made, like you mentioned, in the last 5-10 years, I don't think I ever thought about it, which sounds pretty scary even to me.
Yeah.
So which is what I meant in the letter. If we just watch Satya before you make any film and just to question yourself whether it can give a similar experience or it has an emotional landscape, does it have? So is it the best what you can think of? So what is the point, like when Francis Coppola asked, if it doesn't give me the same experience of Godfather, why do you make it? See, that doesn't mean you should repeat God. I don't mean that at all. Irrespective, it can be even Kaun also. But don't become gimmicky.
Right. Now, you mentioned that the failure of Shanam really affected you to an extent that no other film's failure did. Why that particular film?
I think actually because I thought that is a far superior film to another film of Chiranjeevi at that time, which came called Gang Leader or something like that. And that picture made far more success, money or whatever. Now, surprisingly, when I was making Shiva, I never thought of success. Because if I thought of success, I wouldn't have made a film like that. Because it's like a very underplayed performances and realistic, and there was no items or anything in that thing. I just want to make a film what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
But even then, I don't think the mind state of Satya is very different from Shiva. Shiva also, I used to love films like Ardha Satya or any of these realistic films at the time. Arjun, Rahul Ravel's Arjun, maybe some extent Godfather. And I had a lot of real life incidents around me, real life characters to model the story upon. So it was not. But Satya, I think, is too deep. See, because as you grow, your experiences, today I definitely believe I'm more smarter, I'm more intelligent, and I'm more well read, and I understand film technique much more than earlier. Then why am I doing it? Why am I not doing it? Because I lost the intention. I know it sounds crazy to me also. If you said that, I would have also been as surprised as you. Intention of making a film is a decision. Let me make something as powerful as this film. You know, if I thought to that, I need to have a standard. You know, and then you look at the films and the references of who made, not necessarily only I made, someone else made. And then you take a call on that is the right path of an approach for any filmmaker.
Right.
I feel, So this is the truth for bulk of the filmmakers.
What if I tell you that you make Satya and you are true to it, or without maybe even unconsciously there is a truth to it. Maybe you are not conscious. You're saying you're putting together bits and pieces or whatever it is. But you're making Rangila. That's a love story. That's a completely different zone. Why can't you just say, instead of bringing back Satya and saying, I want to think about what zone I was.
But that is what I meant. See, Rangila, I think almost maybe not as perfect as Satya, but it also falls in the same zone. In the sense, what made Rangila?
Right.
One is I was tremendously impressed by Sound of Music.
Right.
That is the first film where I thought there was no antagonist. It is just the situations which create the conflict.
Right.
Then I heard Rahman's songs of Roja, and there's nothing shaken up the way Rahman does music, Then the way Mani shoots songs. So I just wanted to do this and do something better than that, or as effective as that. So I had a very clear benchmark of 3-4 things what I wanted to capture in Rangila. So when that is there, that is a love story. There is not even a slap in under Rangila. So I don't mean it in sense of when I want to make him like Satya. I don't mean it gangster. I don't mean crime. Yeah.
No, my question is not that. But I'm saying, why can't you say, I want to make a Sound of Music kind of movie with Rahman's music, and to that genre, I want to be as true to it as possible.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, that can still be a good movie.
I mean, that is the most simplest thing to do, yet I didn't do it. That's what
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
But so let's take your body of work, right? What are the films where you think you did that?
See, I would like to think, I mean, on a top level in terms of coming very near, I feel is not company, Satya and Rangila, of course, and only these two I can think of actually.
That's it?
No, yeah. Everything else I feel now. See, how am I measuring them? I don't think I can make them better, even if I see it today. Every other film of mine, I think I can do it better.
Okay.
I can. Did I do it? No. That's a different matter. See, for example, Company. A lot of people love Company. Now when I see Company, in fact, I tried to test it. After seeing Satya 4 days back, next day I saw full Company. I didn't feel the same thing as what I felt about Satya. Because there's one reason, because I know about the underworld far more now than when I made Company. So it just looked a little too, I mean, surface level. I mean, I didn't dig deeper into, it was like more like a top angle just being informative. It didn't go as deep as Satya into the emotions of the characters. That is what I felt about Company. And Sarkar was a very clear thing to do a kind of my version of Godfather.
Yeah.
So see, films don't work for the same reason. Every film doesn't work for the same reasons as Satya. Of course, I understand that. I also enjoy different kind of films. So one is like for example, when there is James Hadley Chase book, in that one particular character is what I took as a plot line. So when I made Drohi, Antam, when that failed, I realized what went wrong and I corrected it and made it Satya. I mean, there is one part I am saying. Satya might have 100 different things happening at the same time parallelly, one taking more preference than the other, something like that. What shocked me, I will tell you, in Satya when I watched, the film opens with this long-haired guy. His character's name also is not there in the film. And he's reading a paper and he just throws it and shoots it. Then the film ends with him again. Now this time we see is looking at the photograph of the man who killed Satya, you know, and then he again shoots. So this kind of a thing where I realized I was giving respect to such a small character where he doesn't even have a dialogue, he's a henchman. It is not even connected to the plot line of the film. Nothing happens because of him or something happens with whatever it is, you know.
Right.
That is what which hit me. And obviously I was the guy who did the editing. I took the shot and did it. Where did that go away from my mind? So today I am telling yesterday to someone, because he is the last man in the gang, everyone else died. And he is not powerful enough to run the gang. So he lost his life. It is in that frustration and helplessness that he cannot do anything to that inspector. He actually shot the photograph in the newspaper.
Right.
So that is what I am talking about. So I discovered so many things why I did at that time. It's almost like if I am watching a film when in my teens, some of the films which influenced me the most, like The Exorcist, The Godfather, The Sound of Music, McKenna's Gold and all this, how I used to feel as a kid or a teenager, that's what I felt when watching my own film Satya.
Before watching it during this re-release, when was the last time you watched it?
I never watched.
So way back.
I didn't watch.
You never watched?
No.
After the edit?
The only time I saw was in after the mixing happens and the trial before the release.
After that, this is the first time you're actually watching the full film?
After 27 years.
After 27 years, okay. Before you went to the theatre, what was your state of mind? Is it like just curiosity? What's it like?
To be very honest, if these PR guys didn't have this concept of re-release, I would have never seen the film, even if till I die. I had no intention to having said that, I don't watch any of my films post the mixing, you know, not only Satya. So this point of time, just because I thought I'll get to meet all the guys who worked with, and PR is insisting that I come for the whatever that event of having a pre-screening, only that. Even when I was sitting in the theatre, I thought now I have to spend 2.5 hours watching it, you know. I was reluctant. I wasn't looking forward to watching the film rather than looking forward to meeting Saurabh and Manoj and all these guys. Yeah. So it hit me because of that.
Right.
Yeah.
And they all were there when you were having this emotional reaction to the movie.
Yeah.
So
me and Anurag were sitting next to each other. And first thing Anurag said after the film was over, he said, Ramu, I didn't see this film. It's the first time I'm watching, he said. He had a very similar, feeling to what I was feeling. Because see, that's the same thing. What I explained about myself would more or less the same thing apply to Anurag.
Right.
And surprisingly, there were some who didn't watch, who came and joined later, like Saurabh and Manoj, and Urmil also had to go somewhere. The people who watched had a different feeling by the time they came out. And when we were talking to the people who didn't watch, they were also getting surprised. What is there in the film? You know? Yeah.
Do you think that every director has, just like Orson Welles had one Citizen Kane, do you think every director has one great movie in them and that's pretty much it?
I mean, I won't really say that. It can happen. See, for example, if you just deviate from films 1 second, if you read the novel Godfather, Mario Puzo must have written 7 to 8 novels or maybe more.
Yeah.
At least 7 to 8 I read. None of them are anything like Godfather.
Yeah.
On top of that, he wrote this book called The Last Dawn, where he got the characters of Godfather, like Michael Corleone and all these guys into this story. You know, either it is Sicilian or The Lost Dawn, one of the books, you know. And he completely spoiled those characters. The same writer I'm talking about.
Right.
So, which comes back to the point, even the guy who's creating doesn't really know what he's creating. And I will tell you these umpteen examples, including Coppola to Mario Puzo to whoever you name it. Maybe Mr. Orson Welles or whoever it is, yeah. So, I don't think it's about one film. Point one is you just did it. I won't say any of that can happen by mistake or by accident, but it can happen without you fully comprehending.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
When you jumped into Satya, you had a screenplay?
No.
Right. So,
We didn't have a one-line order.
okay.
There's
So,
nothing written.
you
I just had a gut feeling about the. I was fascinated with the incidents I was hearing.
right.
I was very clear about the characters, or what I was doing with it, as a Bhikkhu Matre or Satya or X and Y. I didn't have. I had a very loose plot.
Right.
Just it starts from here, it ends somewhere there. Everything else was on the go in terms of day-to-day decisions, changing something in the edit changes, something and whatever, yeah.
The reason I asked is, when you write a screenplay, anyone, not you particularly, but anyone writes a screenplay or has a screenplay written for them by a writer, while reading or while developing the screenplay, a lot of the ideas that are on the surface as well as below the surface, they kind of keep coming up because you're going over it in a paper form and talking about it and ideating. Had you written your other films with a screenplay, I've done your other films with a screenplay,
Yeah.
you'd have been able to achieve a certain...
See, whether you will believe this or not, I started writing full scripts probably let's about roughly 5 to 10 years. I never worked on a script in any of my earlier films.
5 to 10 years back?
Since 5 to 10 years.
Oh, okay.
Since 5 to 10 years.
So, which means around 2015?
Yeah, something like that you can
Okay.
say. You know, my films have been flopping since only then, whenever I have a full script ready. You know, and all my films from Shiva onward, Shiva, Satya, company, none of them had a script.
Right.
Rangil also didn't have a script, you know. The only thing I could figure out what can be a possibility is when you are not sure, you're building it. You're building brick by brick and you're figuring out where this wall and what should happen here. And it's almost like sculpting slowly without
Right.
you realizing what it will turn out to be. Whereas a full script, you kind of copy what is there on paper. And the process of that you forget your soul.
Right.
That could be a possible reason.
Right.
But that doesn't mean, I am not saying that if you do the full script, it can't work. Maybe it is for me, it happened. But that doesn't mean I want to do that now, that I want to do a film without a script. I am not saying that. But there can be reasons. But the fundamental reason, more than anything else, I feel, in Satya, if you're trying to figure out but finally we managed to put it together, though we didn't know what we were doing in the process of the film. I remember in Media Artists, either we were mixing the climax reel, and then suddenly I felt a surge of emotion for the film, first time, ever since I started it. And that prompted me to add that line in the end. My tears for Satya were as much as for those who were killed. That's the line I put in the last minute because I thought that was a summation and I felt that at that time, you know, only once. But that also probably I was reacting to what is happening in the climax reel more than anything else. Now when I see it, it's happened for the entire film. From the word go to the end, I had the same feeling.
At what point while watching this Satya, this now, that is the first time you're watching the full thing after 27 years, at what point did you start getting that emotion?
See, right from the beginning I was feeling.
First
actually,
shot?
Yeah, not maybe first shot, maybe from the first 10 minutes or so.
Right.
You know, and then it kept on growing. It kept on growing, you know. And by the time we reached the interval, because there was some media also and thing, that kind of broke. And by the time, in the last 20 minutes, I couldn't stop crying.
Right.
You know?
Could it also be the fact that you are remembering this super iconic film that even today people associate you with, and the fact that maybe it never happened again? As opposed to the movie itself.
No, see, one thing for sure I'll tell you, my emotion was nothing to do with why did I lose all these years, why did I make all these films. It was not that.
Okay.
I wasn't feeling that type of me weeping for missed opportunities.
But that's part of your tweet, no? You're saying I could have done...
No, it is. It is. You know, it is. That came as a kind of an understanding thing.
Okay. But at that
But
point,
what for me was the most prevailing thing of the emotion is that how could I have lost this understanding of this film at that time? Understanding what we created.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. So all this happened because of that. I lost my understanding. So the principal thing, what made me move emotionally is that.
Right.
Yeah. It made me feel angry, it made me feel guilty, it made me feel all kinds of correspond. And I was going back to, in my memory, to what Alfred Hitchcock said in 1964, technique can only elevate content, it cannot carry it. I remember that line and I connected it to all the bizarre camera work I did in department, for example. You know, all my films, whether it's ARG or X and Y, all these things I knew and yet I did not practice them or I did not put them in place is what I was crying in a tremendous amount of anger towards me.
When you look at yourself today, see, we're sitting in this
Yeah.
fantastic
Yeah.
building. It's huge. It's an iconic Hyderabad Banjara Hills location. You're a successful man. You're a rich man. Even today, people, when you say Ram Gopal Varma, the people know who you are and all that. People ask you for selfies. Do you think of yourself as a successful person or a failure?
See, I think this answer will lie in the context of what I told Rajmouli, which I was mentioning. See, for me, success is, I define, is if you're able to get up in the morning and you can do whatever you want to do till you sleep.
Right.
And that repeats every day. On that count, I was always successful. I never ever wanted to make something I should be the biggest, most successful director. My film should collect more than whatever the bigger. I never ever thought about that. Neither, nor in when I was making Shiva, nor I was making Satya. If you look at Satya, was made immediately after Rangila. Now Rangila had big stars, Amir, whatever, Rahman, everything. And after Daud failed, after that, then I made Satya. I was obsessed with Satya. So if I had the intention of making a big film and whatever you call is so-called successful film with big budgets and bigger stars, I would have pursued that. I didn't. My excitement was the only reason why I made any film. But that I have the same excitement even for my flop films, super flop films, including ARG for that matter. But what was missing is the sincerity of what emotion that film needs to capture at the end of the day. Yeah.
So coming back to that question, right now, you are a successful person because you can get up in the morning and do whatever you want to do. But in terms of as a filmmaker, do you think that maybe you failed what you set out to do?
See, now there again the point is, see, let us say I'm above 60 now. Okay. Now I feel even films before Satya also have failed. It's not like every film. In fact, my second film, Shankshanam, also is a failure. So a film is a process of making, and at a certain time it gets completed, it releases. So whether success or a flop, that's about 3-4 days thing. Then you move on and you are again getting up in the morning and doing whatever you're supposed to be doing. So I never thought of myself, because I never thought of being successful, I never felt the failure. That's how I would say.
Okay. Yeah. But after,
and I always was able to do whatever I want to do at any given point of time.
Right. But now, today, after watching Satya, because you talk about missed opportunities and all that, is there a sense of that you failed yourself?
I feel very strong in that now, because suddenly it is like, I wrote a line in my tweet, an objectiveless destination. You are traveling, but you're not really caring about where you're going to reach. You are enjoying the process of traveling versus I want to go to that destination to make a decision is different. Like in Ayn Rand's word. Now objectivism is what? I need to reach here. I want to become that. I want to be able to achieve that. So my journey of my entire life, including Satya for that matter, was to be an objectiveless, traveling in an objectiveless destination.
Right.
Yeah. I'm going on the road. I really don't know where the road will take me. I'm enjoying journeying.
Right.
But now, for the first time, 3 days back, I felt my rest of my life I want to live in objectivism. I have a clear-cut idea, a clear-cut goal I want to reach. Whether I can or not is a different point.
What is that clear-cut goal?
Clear-cut goal is in a very, very short time, maybe 2 years. I want to make up for the last 27 years. Don't ask me. I have no problem if you can laugh. I have no problem
I'm
if
just
you
smiling
do
because
anything.
you think you've done nothing at all after that. That's
I am sure.
I.
No film of mine I feel is worth it after
That's
my
a big
emotion.
statement,
It
Ramu.
is.
That's like
But as big or small, that is my feeling.
okay.
Yeah. I believe, even though Sarkar people might like, company will, but if I did them with this mindset, they would have been far better films. That's my point.
Is a point.
See, people right now are seeing what is there for. But I suddenly discovered 3 days back that I am capable of making a company or a Sarkar far better.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, some people might ask, what took so long to get this realization? Because it's not like Satya is a small film that has been forgotten and suddenly you're remembering it or something like that. From the day it was released till date, till this point, Satya has always been. I remember there was a 20th anniversary celebration, there was a 25th anniversary celebration. There was like and for a movie that small, like usually you all the Mughal-e-Azam, the big ones, you kind of they go gaga about it. But for a movie of this size, usually. But that's because of its excellence, right? People have never forgotten that movie. It's just gone on and on and on. Nobody forgets that movie. At least that generation remembers it. It kept it alive, and even today people recognize you by it. So that's why I'm trying to figure out why is that it's hitting you so hard, because you've been hearing so much about Satya is a great movie. Satya is a great movie.
I've been hearing about it from others, but I have not seen it myself. That's what I'm saying.
So you didn't sense it.
I didn't understand it. I mean, even I'm short of words in that. See, it's a point of, it's like, a parallel example to give. If you give birth to a child, through the throes of passion or something, and the child is growing up, and you didn't plan to give birth to a specific child. Should look, should behave, this is what he should become and all that. It just became in others' eyes.
Right.
Now, in some kind of a setup, suddenly one day as a parent, I realized, oh, this is what I gave birth. This is what I gave birth to. That happened to me. I remember every shot, why I took that, where I took it from, and what made me do that cut in the edit. But I'm seeing them in a different perspective now. That is
a
what
more
I'm trying to say.
holistic perspective.
Yeah, holistic. Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Okay.
See, for example, yesterday one guy told me about something in Satya, which even I didn't notice even now.
Okay.
He said that father character who plays Urmila's father, he has some speech problem. When he dies, the mother says apparently something like, I was waiting for this to happen. I couldn't see him in that state, and how kitna acha gaate the. Oh. And he told me, actually now I realized, because of that Urmila wanted to be a singer, because the father was a singer.
Wow.
And I didn't see it even now.
Yeah, that's a lovely reading. Yeah.
So that's what happens. You see, when I feel when a work of art comes, people's interpretations, no two people will see a film or look at a piece of art in the same way as each other. They all take home their own things.
Right.
It is possible this man who mentioned this, he could be having a similar situation at his home or something. He connected to that.
Right.
Someone else won't.
Right.
Like when I can almost recite Godfather from page to page. That's how much I know that. And I will think of random things from Godfather out of the blue. Even I have read the book for 20 years. On some obscure line I'll remember in some context.
Right.
That is what happens to people. So it is almost like you've gone there instead of them coming out of the makeup man and abhi ye shot hai, ye dialogue hai. It looked like when it's happening, I just somewhere hid in the corner, and without them knowing I shot.
Yeah.
It is that kind of a reality the film most of the time it is capturing.
Right.
So in which case what happens, Like when you meet me, you and me know, let's say about 5 years or whatever years, we speak so much on the phone and all that. And at random you'll remember something.
Yeah.
Or it triggers your memory to something else what another director said or whatever you thought about a film. And that's what it happens. So I think films like Satya do, like films like Godfather. Godfather does that to me.
Right.
Nature's comfort. Ramraj presents bamboo cotton white shirts.
Your dream plot awaits for you at OMR, ECR and GST with Nama Family Group.
South India's #1 travel brand. You know you are special when you're with GT Holidays.